welcome to Tables
List
and Chairs. We're kind of relaunching this series where we're going to be doing essentially a list format, but we're going to talk about it and we're going to have some fun special guests and also things. Also, look who it is! Somebody bloody Denise Salcedo.
Denise Salcedo's here.
Wow, the pressure. I just saw both of you pointing at me and I was like, I'm on, let's go.
This is also, it's the first episode of a new series, so if it bombs, we can blame you.
Oh,
We
cool.
blame Denise. That's why.
Yay.
That's why she's
Yeah.
here today for this list for the tables, lists, and chairs. Today we're going to be doing the best WWE World Champions, our top 10 WWE World Champions. We're going to start with number 10.
Yes.
Hey!
Okay.
Ooh.
These are some interesting answers.
We're all so different.
Okay, so we have John Cena, Roman Reigns, and Bruno Sammartino.
All right, Pete, kick us off there. Bruno
So,
at 10?
So Bruno at 10. I think you have to, on any top 10 list of world champions, you have to include Sammartino somewhere in the list. For me personally, I'd have a very strong connection to Bruno Sammartino. I never watched anything that he's done, just historically he's very important, so I understand the importance of having him on the list, but my list is very personal. And for me, Sammartino is not... I'm not doing the 10 best objectively best champs. These are my faves, and I know I've got to have him on here because if I don't, I'd be called a heathen.
Hold on, Pete.
Yeah.
So it's your top 10 favorites champions.
Yep.
And you've included one who is not a favorite champion.
Yeah, yes.
Because you don't want to get buried in the comments.
Correct. That is
Don't worry, you're not going to get buried in the comments. It's going to be me because I have Roman at number 10. People are going to be like, how dare she? Doesn't she know that all the numbers are doing great right now?
Say, Denise.
Well, here's
Roman
the
at
thing.
10?
Here's why I'm putting Roman at 10. This is actually, so I know you went with more of like your personal favorites.
Yeah.
I actually went a different direction. I went with the direction of like, I want to talk more about like impact in the business and where we are in different time periods. And I feel like WWE right now in this time period is set up to succeed regardless of whether or not Roman Reigns is champion. And so for that reason, that's the reason why I'm putting Roman Reigns at number 10.
That's
That's
fair.
valid.
That's fair.
Wabadoo?
Wabadoo, I've got
Yeah.
Cena at number 10. My list is kind of a combination of the two of yours.
Right.
It is like, it's my faves, but also ones who've had impact on business and things. Like an objective, but also some of my just faves are in there.
Yeah.
I felt like I had to have John Cena on my list, even though he's not on my top 10 champions ever list. And the reason why I had him so low is there's 16 world titles in here. I can't tell you a single one of them. Outside of the first one, I can't tell you anything significant about any of the other ones.
Yeah.
It is quantity over quality.
Yeah.
Oh.
100%.
Oh.
Hey! Oh, there
Oh.
we go. Whoa,
Damn!
Okay.
Oh.
I'm coming to Denise first.
Alright, Denise first. Denise
Denise
first.
first? Okay,
At
well,
9.
I put The Rock here at number 9, and by the way, that's the eyebrow right
It's
there.
not the eye of Horus.
No, that's
That
the
is
eyebrow.
that is a very straight eyebrow for
I
something
know.
that
I
is
needed to
famously
arch.
curved.
I needed to like arch it a little bit, but I forgot. I was under pressure. The reason why I put The Rock at number 9 is because his reigns were short, but regardless, he lived up and was the exact amount of star, big enough star like Stone Cold Steve Austin, but because his reigns were a lot shorter, that's why I kept him at number 9.
My Bruno is the same as Pete's reasons, more or
Yeah.
less.
Yeah.
It is just like, objectively, you can't have him not on a list.
Yes.
He has such an impact on this industry that he belongs on my list, even though I don't have a personal connection to Bruno. Just talk about The Rock. Did any of you like teach yourself how to do the people's eyebrow?
All the time. Are you kidding me?
Angle?
Well, he's cool, isn't he? He's great. I think having like one of the best like rookie years in WWE history, capped off with winning the big one. He's great as champ,
Yeah.
and I love anytime he's been anywhere near the top of the card or in the world title picture. I think he's done exceedingly well. He's one of my. Whenever I think of the WWF title, like Kurt Angle's one of the first people that comes to mind.
Yeah.
Not right at the top, of course. Got some other people higher up the list, but he's up there, which is why he's number 9.
Oh. Hey!
Oh, where are we at? Oh,
hello. I mean,
why are we all so different?
Oh, very different. We haven't had a matching answer yet. And also, I think all of these are respectable answers.
Yeah.
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 Luke
I think-
first?
Yeah, I'll go with Brock Lesnar.
Yeah.
I wasn't sure where to put the extra, like, Les, so I went with more S's than any other letter.
It's like a lot of L's. It's
Oh, yeah, good one is less.
Damn, you're
You
just
done
lessening
Lesnar.
Brock. How dare you, Luke?
Yeah, Brock Lesnar.
Yeah.
I feel like Brock's great, right? Like, yeah, I think, again, that rookie year was so good, the winning the title at SummerSlam.
Yep.
Took his little break for a little while, but there was a period of time when Brock won the belt when he was a proper part-timer, and he was never on TV. And all of a sudden it felt like, man, being the champion's this big deal because you've got to be on the show, you've got to beat this guy and get the belt off of him. And I feel like whenever he wins the belt, he just feels like the final boss. And I kind of love that about Brock. Plus, the winner of SummerSlam over John Cena is awesome.
Well, yeah,
What an awesome match.
Is that supposed to be his little sword tattoo?
Yeah, it's a sword
Okay,
tattoo.
interesting.
I'm so glad you're not the one who tattooed Brock. He would have F5'd your ass.
Oh yeah, I'm pretty sure Brock's pleased about that as well.
Yeah. I had Hogan because, again, impact on the industry. You can't
Pete,
have
this
the
is not
kind of
feeling
list.
like your favorite list anymore.
I know.
Just wait till we get higher on that list. There's a reason why these are lower.
These are all my favorite champions. 3 entries in. Haven't found one favorite champion apart from Angle.
So one of them is, yeah. But Hogan, like, impacting the industry is undeniable. Him as world champion is one of the things that led to one of the big boom periods in the 80s for wrestling. Also, he says, much love, brother, kiss, HH kiss. Which, elevates it.
Randy.
Well,
Savage.
I think feeding off of your answer here, I think a lot of people thought that taking off the title off of Hulk Hogan was going to be a mistake. And when Randy Savage had it, my friends, business stayed up, okay? And putting it up against Hulk Hogan, I think that's a big, that could have been a big risk, a big challenge. But you know what? Randy Savage delivered. So I think that within itself is very important. So that's why I picked him at the spot.
Hey!
Come on now.
Matchy.
Roman
Roman
Reigns
Reigns.
as well. Roman Reigns.
God,
same
this is
reasons.
like Lucky Sevens when you're playing in the casino and it's like 7. No, 7. Damn.
It's close to the jackpot. Bloodline, right? Like, all of this earlier stuff, yeah, sure, that was bad. But also Bloodline, right?
That's
like,
almost my exact reasoning. Is like
Yeah.
all of the titles runs that came before this, no good.
Yeah.
But then this one, for the most part, good.
Yeah.
For the most part, great.
And historic, top of the company, 1,000 days, unprecedented for the modern era.
So good.
It is, yeah, it's important.
I think particularly like that sort of mid 2022 to like present day, it's so good. All the stuff with Sammy and I think the latter day Bloodline stuff has been so great.
Yeah.
I think you can look at some of the Duff stuff like Balor or even in there, good matches. Great match with Cesaro, great match with Danielson, great matches with Edge. Like, it's just great.
To explain some of my later list as well, one of the things that I think makes one of the criteria that I'm looking at for my list is people who make like the title part of their character or make it feel like a really important thing to desire. And Roman's whole thing is like, I have to have the belt. I'm the head of the table. That's like the most important thing is that I hold this belt. Makes the belt feel more important. So people who are good for the title, Roman Reigns is up there.
All right, well, step aside, Roman Reigns. I'm putting Brock Lesnar. Okay, I feel like with Brock Lesnar, he's a lot more self-explanatory. To me, he feels like one of the last special attraction champions that we truly have had. I think Brock is one of the few people that has really transcended, not just in pro wrestling, but is able to connect with like mainstream. He's able to, capture audiences that aren't even wrestling fans. Like you look at Brock and you're like, oh my God, this guy's gonna kill whoever he's in the ring with. You're just fascinated by Brock's just overall presence. So for me, I feel like he brought so much. So for that reason, I gotta pick Brock Lesnar.
Hey!
Oh, so different again.
Ooh.
Damn.
Bret Hart, Daniel Bryan,
Edge is
Edge.
such a good shout. Brett's a great shout.
Yeah, these are good answers, gang. These are good answers. What about you first, Denise?
All right.
Explain Bret Hart.
Okay, I think without Bret Hart, you don't expand into all of these other places. You got Canada, Europe, so many other places that I feel without Bret Hart, you don't have that expansion. Of course, you can also add Hulk Hogan with Europe, but specifically speaking right now for Bret Hart, I feel like he definitely was a big reason for that. And also, dude, like when you think, they don't call him, the best for nothing, okay? When you think of Bret Hart, you literally think of the most smartest kind of wrestler, the smartest mind, and I feel like that for me is just so much that I have to put Bret Hart on this list.
Yeah.
Without Brett, you don't get this.
Yeah.
There
Without
you go.
Brett, you do not get Bryan Danielson winning the WWE Championship.
Yeah.
And I had to go with Daniel Bryan on this list. Because again, this is not a quantity one. Because had three, four short reigns, like really short reigns, because a lot of them were like, ended by the cash-ins or ended by screwiness or ended by, injuries.
Yeah.
I recently rewatched SummerSlam 2013 for WrestleTalk Extra, and the moment he wins the belt, the fans were just in awe and in raptures. Like we made the comment that when the fans didn't count the 3, because they never thought he was going to win the belt. They always thought, it's Super Cena's going to win. And then he won the belt, and there was this collective like, damn! And the same thing happens at Mania 30.
Yeah.
This is a guy that connects with people.
Yeah.
And he has to be on my list.
Yeah, I think WrestleMania 30, to me, just like seeing like everything that they did that played out throughout the entire show. At the end of it, you kind of had this feeling of, oh my God, he did it.
Yeah.
He overcame all the obstacles, right? And I feel like when you think of Daniel Bryan, you think of those moments.
Yeah.
And thinking, again, of overcoming all of these things because he wasn't supposed to be the guy.
Nope.
Yeah,
No.
that's exactly it. For me, Edge is one of those guys who always makes the belt feel important. Whenever he has it, whether it's the cash-ins that he's done a lot of like iconic things revolving around the titles, because he obviously had like the rated R spinner belt and things like that. A lot of cash-ins where he's like sneaked his way to a title. A lot of like, when you think of the World Heavyweight Championship, it's one of the guys you think of immediately as Edge. Made that title his own. And this is a guy that just elevated every title that he held. He's a guy that really made the title feel important. And that's why he's high on my list. And also, he's really good.
Hey!
Why are we so different?
Matching.
Yeah, no
Wow.
matches again.
God. There's a lot of repeat answers here. Well, The Rock is great, iconic. We've said that before. Rock's awesome.
All right, I'm putting John Cena on this list and high up because I truly believe he was one of the last champions that legitimately had to draw. Like, he couldn't just rely on the success of WWE. Like, he had to draw. And as, complicated of a figure as he was, dude had fans, and those fans were freaking diehard and loyal. And also, this is the little hand.
Yeah, I thought that's my
Yeah.
it's not the thing that took out Johnny Knoxville at WrestleMania. It took out Sami Zayn at
The big hand,
WrestleMania.
yeah.
But I've got at number 5, CM Punk.
Valid.
It's one of my guys. It's just one of my. When he first won the title, I was like, yeah, and then he didn't do a lot with it. I was like, no, boo. But then you get the Money in the Bank moment. You get Money in the Bank 2011, and you get. Granted, then he loses it, as a Del Rio, and then gets it again. But then he has that run.
Yeah.
And this was a run that it's not like it was never the company's top priority. That was Cena still, but it was fans' priority. Like we would like, that's our guy, that's our guy, that's our guy. So he is a guy that makes you feel things, and that's what I want from a champion, is to make me feel things. And this is like the title meant the world to him. I wish it was a better looking belt that he had, but it was the partnership with Heyman. I love him. I love him as champion. I think he's one of the best ever, and that was like a record-setting reign. Hey!
Yeah!
Backlund makes the list.
Damn. Well, remember, I said that I was basing this list off not just like personal favorites, but just overall impact on the business and overall standing. So I had to go with Bob Backlund here. I feel like there's no way there's on any list that you don't include him. Second longest reign with close to 6 years. I feel like when you think about like legitimate wrestlers, you think about Bob Backlund. Like, I would even say, like, before there was Brock Lesnar, there was Bob Backlund.
That's so true. I mean, when I became a fan, Backlund was the guy that came in and was like doing goofy stuff with Kurt Angle, and it was just like this little goofball on TV. And then you got like commentary being like, he was champion for 6 years. You're like, well,
because people forgot. Yeah, people forgot. But I feel like because of that, like you can't dismiss it, even though it was like prior to our era of watching wrestling or whatever, whenever it is that you started watching wrestling, you know?
Yeah.
Do you want to go Punk?
Yeah, I mean, it's basically everything that you said on the last entry, but again. But for me, like, that long title reign that he had, for me, is like exactly how you do a long title reign. You start them off babyface, and they turn heel because they can't give up the belt. Then you have the partnership with Heyman. Like, it's a perfect way, and it never feels like it overstays its welcome, because for every long title reign, you have the risk of it getting a bit samey and a bit dull, because they're spinning the wheels until they get to whenever they want them to drop the belt. But this never felt like it got stale. It was always something new and fresh, because they had that dynamic turn, and then they had the Heyman partnership, and all the stuff that led into it. So good. Love that reign.
And I've gone Brett at 4. Like, he's the dude, man. Like, he is the man. You rewatch 97. 97's not like a great year. year because it's still a lot of like the new generation's trying to die and the Attitude Era is trying to start. But Brett saves that year something fierce. Like it's just no matter who you put him in the ring with, he's just golden. Like he makes Sid look good. Like he's just, like he's having like matches with Taker and like you got the drama with Shawn and everything. But
yeah,
like oh man, Brett deserved so much more from WWF, and he was given loads. But every time you watch him, like that dude deserves so much more.
Yeah,
and his heel run's spectacular. Brett's the man.
Oh, hey!
Oh,
No, Bruno Blesberg.
why are we so different?
Why can't we get any matching answers? A lot of our answers are the same.
No,
different orders.
we're all messed up. All right, who's going first?
You take us through Borg.
But I mean, Brock Lesnar always feels like the biggest guy in the company. When he is the world champion, he makes that title feel like the biggest title it could possibly be. And while some people, me included, weren't a super fan of him never being around when he was world champion and being a part-timer and things, when he did then show up, it did objectively make it more special. It made it that big impact. And then he puts over the guys like his feuds with Goldberg, and then he has the stuff with Drew McIntyre. There's all these like big crowning moments that people have when they knock off Brock Lesnar because he's the final boss, like you said before. He always feels like the biggest guy when he holds the world title. It makes the world title feel like a massive prize to win.
Yeah. And also a guy you can put as a challenger.
Yeah.
If you put him in there with someone who's like, well, there's every chance that Brock's just going to win.
Yeah,
'Cause
absolutely.
he's Brock Lesnar.
Yeah.
Bruno?
All right, man. I was thinking about this. And can you imagine doing a greatest baseball players list and not putting Babe Ruth? You put Babe Ruth in, and for me, that is definitely Bruno Sammartino. 2 reigns with close to over 10 years, and at a time where you actually had to be a draw to be champion. I don't know if like the magnitude of that like really sets in, but you had to be a draw during this time period to be champion. And I think that raises it, just makes it just so much more grander. So for me, I had to put Bruno up there at the very, very top of this list.
Anyway, I've got The Rock at 3.
Because he's The Rock, isn't he?
Okay, well, this is my champion.
Yeah.
So when I first got into wrestling, he was my champion, and I adore this man. And I loved him as champion. Did not get enough, because you mentioned this earlier, a lot of short reigns, and that's again, this is a quality over quantity for me, because the reigns weren't great, and he was not served well in 2000 because Triple H was always the guy, but he was like, he's my dude, and I wanted to see him win the belt. Backlash 2000 was one of the greatest title wins of all time.
Oh, hey!
Oh, snap!
There we go.
We're so different here.
Hey?
Cut it too, but
Wow.
like that rookie year was so great, and like that when he wins that belt, it's like, damn, like that's a new guy. Like they just build him up so perfectly over that year. In the way that Rock was my guy that I always wanted to win the belt, Kurt Angle was the dude I never wanted to win the belt because I hated him. Like I got worked by Angle so brilliantly. I met Kurt a few years back at an event, and I got to tell him, like, you were my first like hated wrestler. Like I never wanted to see you, like, because like I was always worked by Angle as like a young fan. And he was like, yeah, a lot of people tell me that.
Wow. I loved Kurt Angle right from the very beginning. Like there was never a point where like I disliked him or anything. He was just always so, to me, he was always so likable. So hearing you say that, I'm like, what?
Yeah, but it's the both sides of it, because I had that era where I was like, oh man, oh boo, Kurt Angle, boo, the Olympic gold medalist. And then he becomes like the wrestling machine. It's like, oh, he's legit.
Oh yeah.
He's a scary ass dude, and just, I loved him.
Yeah.
So good. Anytime his music hits, like, this is the guy right here.
For Hulk Hogan, he's a controversial fella. All right, guys.
No.
He kind of tarnished a lot of his legacy, which is unfortunate, because when you ask people that aren't even wrestling fans, name a wrestler, I can guarantee a lot of people would name Hulk Hogan, because people just know Hulk Hogan.
Oh, yeah.
But the reason I had to put him so high up on my list was because he was the champion when they went national, and without him, I don't know if it would have gone the way that things played out. So for that reason, I feel like he has to be in this spot. And granted, again, he's, it sucks, but damn, there you go, Hulk Hogan.
For me, this is the best example of someone who always cares about the title. He always makes a world title feel like the biggest deal. His first thing when he cashed in, became world heavyweight champion, the yes chant was born because of that, and he had a perfect like chicken heel run with the world title. It was perfect. Winning as a babyface and transitioning into that heel run was amazing. The win at WrestleMania 30, the win against John Cena, like the underdog story with that. Then he became the Eco champion, and then losing it at Kofi Mania. Like, it always feels like such an important prize when Daniel Bryan is holding it. He always makes it feel like the biggest deal whenever a world title is in his picture. Daniel Bryan, the best goddamn wrestler of all time. I love him so much.
Don't let Eddie Kingston hear you say that.
I know.
But you
I'm
put him
sorry.
at number 2, Pete. With
Yes.
all of that passion, I was expecting
With
him
all
at
that,
number 1.
I could have made the argument to put him at number 1. There is somebody else at number 1, though.
We did it! We did
Handshake
it!
still around. Well done,
I
everybody.
can't believe we didn't have all 3 of us exactly the same, except for one man, and it was the number 1 spot of all spots.
Yeah. I mean, that makes sense.
Yeah?
I think this is consensus, right? Best
Yeah.
world champion of all time?
Best world champion of all time.
It's Stone Cold Steve Austin. Like, how could it not be, right?
Exactly. I feel like this one is the one where you don't even, everybody watching here is like, yeah. Exactly.
Yeah.
Because
Totally right.
everybody knows. Like, I remember, like, just, Stone Cold Steve Austin, to me, like, when I started watching wrestling, he was the first wrestler that I knew because of the time period that I started watching. And I remember, like, even before I started watching religiously, I was just watching sporadically. I would just go to the TV when Stone Cold was on and throw up them middle fingers and stuff like that. And he was the one that got me into wrestling, like, at the very beginning. I remember, like, going out and buying, my uncle bought me the 6-pack VHS set where it was 5 VHSs and then one of them was a free t-shirt. And so I would go back and watch all of Stone Cold and just everything that they had in those VHS sets and everything. And Stone Cold is always that guy. Like, I remember going to so many wrestling shows, and he is the only man that when his music hit, you saw grown-ass men. Like, they would not react to anything else, right? Like, they maybe clap and cheer, woo-woo, whatever. But when Stone Cold Steve Austin came out, it was like, yes! It was this whole other, like, animal unleashed inside of everybody.
Yeah.
And that is what Stone Cold Steve Austin does to people. He's the man.
When I got into wrestling, he won around because he was injured. Like, he'd been written off at Survivor Series. So it was Triple H, and it was Cactus, and it was The Rock. And so he wasn't there. But then a friend of mine, who I made with because we all started watching wrestling when it was on Channel 4, he showed me all of his VHS that he had, like all of the old 98, 99 pay-per-views when Austin was on top and Austin was the guy. And I was like, this guy's like the coolest dude ever. So when he then came back at Backlash 2000, I was there 3:30 in the morning watching it live on Channel 4, throwing my middle fingers in the air on my own, like trying not to wake up my parents to let them know that I'd stayed up on a school night to watch pro wrestling. And he's the coolest guy. And you go back and you watch those matches, and he's like nothing else.
Yep.
He carries himself like no one else.
Yep.
He was always the guy from 96 throughout 97 and 98, 99, 2000. Heel run 2001, yeah, you can ask some questions about it, but his character work was stunning. It was so great. I also like how we've got Steve Austin, Stone Cold, and Stone Cold Steve Austin.
I know. I was thinking about that. Was the first thing I noticed when I saw this.
So good. I don't really have too much else to add beyond what you guys have said, but like the most iconic champion, I think, in WWE history, like if you think of the WWF title, this guy's right up there, right? A guy who elevated that title to heights uncharted at the time during the Attitude Era. Like, a guy who made that world title always feel like the biggest deal. It's the same through line throughout most of my picks. Always made it feel like the biggest deal when he had it. And like, even like that Mania X7 promo, like, I need this, Rock. Like, that's his whole motivation. His whole motivation for that heel turn is because he really badly needed the title. Like, he makes the title feel the biggest deal at the biggest time in wrestling.
Give me a hell yeah!
Hell yeah! So that was our list of our top WWE World Champions. Did we miss any out that you really think we should have put on there? Then let us know in the comments and leave your top 10 list as well. Why not? We'll be back soon for another TLC episode. Thank you so much for watching. And what do you think of the new series? Let us know in the comments. Leave any thoughts, feedback, comments, any other topics you want to see us do as well. Thank you so much, Denise, for coming in.
Yay!
So glad we managed to get you in the studio all in weekend. It's really, really cool. Yeah, we'll be back for more soon. If you haven't yet, please subscribe to the channel. channel. Do like the video. Denise, where can people find you?
YouTube.com/Denise Salcedo. That's where all my content is at. That's the place to be.
There you go. Thank you so much, and we'll see you soon. Jam that jam!
Jam that jam.
Hey, you! Did you like this first episode of TLC? Well, how about you watch next week's episode right now over at our Patreon page, patreon.com/WrestleTalk, where me, Luke, and Tempest talk about the worst WWE World Champions. Here's a clip. 3, 2, 1. Jack Swagger! Jack Swagger! Let's go!
God, it stunk, didn't
God,
it?
it's not good, is it?
Oh, it was rubbish.
Jesus.
Jericho lost a shoe for this belt.